Hey everybody, welcome to another video. Go.
Twitch reactors are killing YouTube. Okay, can I be honest, dude? Can I be honest? Guys, I'm gonna be honest, guys. I don't want to make shit on anybody. Okay, ahead of time. I don't want to discredit them. But I think this is just clickbait because I know for a fact that they know that people on YouTube that have 3 million subscribers or any sort of good amount of subscribers, they know the game, they know the algorithms, and they know how shit works, and they know for a fact that this is impossible and the impact is negligible. I'm still waiting for this day to somebody who shows up with analytics that show that this is even close to a genuine something that makes sense. I think something with analytics. No, the analytics that came, guys. The only set of analytics that people came up with in the past were debunked in like half a second. Okay, we'll watch both. Okay, yeah, I mean, I'll give it a try. I'll give it a try, chat. And if it's just rambling, I'll stop it. But we can give it a try.
On a video right now.
Oh, he has analytics.
Talking about GTA and everything, and specifically the older games. I'm actually going through like a nostalgic fest. I actually have a few ideas in my mind that are not escaping me. So unless I sit down and make videos on them, I'm actually going to go insane. Now, in the middle of this, I've been doing something for that video where I've basically been, capturing a bunch of things, commentating on a bunch of things.
Wait, do you think he's gonna DMCA me if I react to this thing? Because if he says this is a problem, I have to watch it first to see if it's a problem or not. So I
Reporting a bunch of things, looking over some old websites, and actually, what's really driving me insane, by the way, is trying to make a retro-emulated gaming computer, okay? Let me tell you something about Windows 98. In fact, it drives me so insane, you're gonna get a whole video. Now, I'm gonna pop something. But anyways, I wanted to talk about something that, really just hit me right in the feels. Now, obviously, to make YouTube videos, it takes a lot of time. One of my favorite videos that I ever made was Did This Cult Infiltrate and Break 4chan? Where I talked about the synchronicity, experiments that were going on 4chan. It is a 50-minute long video. Now, this video was scripted before I had my appendix blow up on me, and once I got that surgery and I came back, I was like, this is what I'm actually crafting and making. This was my return video. Now, to understand, it takes time to make content, okay? To script it out, to source things out, to create it. Agreed. A 50-minute video will take you, somewhere around 20, maybe 25 hours of, proper content to do it, if you're, truly efficient. When you're doing, crypto investigations, triple the time on that one. So, obviously, 75 hours put into it for a 50-minute video that may make you, whatever amounts of revenue you can. This, I remember, was actually demonetized because I put 4chan into the title, but at some point I just don't really care too much about the monetization aspect because money is not important to me as much as making a banger YouTube video is. Now, sometimes in recent memories, okay, I've started to notice a resurgence of reaction channel.
Guys, he's not capping. Guys, he's not capping. Okay, he's not capping, okay? Having good videos that do well and having good amount of subscribers that in the videos that have gained traction, okay? The immediate return of money immediately now for somebody who has a good amount of money stacked up already, okay? Means that more power equals more money in the end. Having good videos that do well on the algorithm, having a lot of subscribers is power. Therefore, you can translate and use power to gain money later on and overall. So one video doesn't do well doesn't impact them that much. That's what I'm trying to say about this.
Now, again, I'm not coming at this from some weird hate stance, if you will. I'm going to be talking about some people who I consider myself to be good friends, people that I respect, people that I look up to. But, I think that's what allows us to criticize and talk about each other when we see something a little bit, not cool, if we will. Now, to understand, okay, reaction meta on Twitch is massive, okay? It's a lot easier to load up a stream for 12 hours a day, 13, 14, 15, however many hours you need, and then effectively just react to shit, okay? All you have to do is put on a YouTube video, react to it, and statistically, you will retain viewership over a several, course of hours that you're streaming. Now, of course, if you're streaming and you spend 12 hours playing video games like GTA role-playing or Rainbow Six Siege, or something that requires you to put in 100% more energy than you would ever have to do just sitting back watching a YouTube video, that obviously takes way more effort, I would say, all right? Streaming already is kind of a lazy venture, in my opinion, because, hey, it's easy for me to fire up...
I'm honest, guys. Select correction, guys. Since my RP is so dog shit, I don't even RP. I just kind of play myself as a more twisted person in the game. It actually kind of is it's less effort than reacting in that sense. So for most people, he's right though. It makes sense, yeah.
Hit start streaming and just entertain for hours on end. It's actually more economically viable. I don't like doing it because I still have a liking for making proper traditional YouTube content. I think I like making good banger videos and calling it a day. At least that's how it works for me. I treat YouTube very much like a personal diary, very much like a shit post for me, and I just post whatever I like to do. The randomness is always something that I appreciate. Now, of course, getting back to the topic over here, when it comes to, you know, streaming, obviously...
See, so far, I can't ever agree with this guy. I think we'll end up on the mentally about this one.
It's an easy endeavor, but it becomes even easier when all you have to do is slip on somebody else's YouTube video, watch it, and do whatever you can. Now, of course, I'm not so bent out of it when somebody on Twitch watches a video from a YouTuber, whether it be me or one of my peers, and, you know, that's all it is. The story ends over there. I think that idea of cross-site promotion is actually pretty cool, okay? There's a lot of people on Twitch that would draw eyes that would probably never touch YouTube to potentially try YouTube for once, watching somebody's content. Where I start to get, like, a little weirded out is when, like, the Twitch channels will then all of a sudden not only stream the entire video, raking in massive profits from subs and whatnot over on Twitch, and then re-upload it on an official YouTube channel run by them or a team, and then double dip into the situation. Now, it's not even the revenue that wilds me out too much about that too. It's really what the effect on the YouTube algorithm.
Guys, even though this is me, guys, I don't even agree with the point though. Guys, I don't find offense in this, right? But I don't think this is bad. I'll explain why later, okay? But I think it's not. I wouldn't call it double dipping, because I think you create a new sauce. So you're not dipping in the same sauce. I think you're creating another sauce, right? And you're dipping in your own sauce that kind of refers to the other one that they made. So I don't really see it as double dipping, and I'll explain why later.
Rhythm ends up being. Now, Dark Viper, okay, a prominent figure, you know, somebody that I've had like a little run-in with the past over. We had a little disagreement, but Dark Viper is a really good content creator. He creates a lot of good GTA 5 content, and in the last few weeks, what really inspired me to touch this topic, again, this is just a primer video, by the way, but he made a video, like a series of videos where he was reacting to all the takes that various Twitch streamers had about him, specifically when it came to him writing a 14-page document about Twitch reactions. Now, of course, Dark Viper was a little heavy-handed in criticism, used a lot of extreme examples, one of them regarding consent and whatnot, but, you know, at the end of the day, when I read his document, I almost sat down and just said, where's the lie? Dark Viper is not wrong. When people on Twitch react to a video and then just re-upload it onto YouTube, it will kill the growth of any small channel. Now, there are exceptions, okay? There are plenty of channels that do gain benefits from having some level of, you know, shout out from various Twitch communities. I think SunnyV2 is a pretty decent example, but I also think SunnyV2 was growing long before he was ever shot in by Twitch, you know.
Yeah, I don't really agree with that. I just simply disagree with that.
Shoutouts, and a lot of it was him creating actual content that people would search. I would search 90% of the videos SunnyV2 makes, and I think that's the mark of a good YouTube channel, when you can cover things succinctly, properly, and send them out to people that would watch them, right? I think that's a big aspect of it. I'm not talking about necessarily every form of reaction content on YouTube. Obviously, people create reaction videos at different standards. I think one of my golden standards of React content is probably the original H3 videos, in terms of let's take an actual, you know, video, let's show pieces of it, and then let's fill it up with a lot of our own commentary and a lot of our own skits. I think that's a definition of proper transformative content, quite literally as it's one in a court case. But in a lot of cases, when it's literally somebody watching an entire video on YouTube, that becomes a pretty good standard for a market substitute. What people don't understand about fair use law, which is, you know, coming out of like a copy.
Guys, this is tough because he did win the court case, right? Because it was transformative, right? So then you would have to argue past the court case, what is the limit of something being transformative and what is not? And that's like incredibly difficult. It's like a line that I don't think a lot of people know about, right? It's why generally, I think whenever I got struck by the Olympics, right? I think, could be wrong about this, maybe if I'm wrong, if I did go to court, or I wouldn't have to go to court, maybe just a deposition. If I did follow through with and they fought the counterclaim or whatever, right? It would have been massive. It would have been massive, because then it would say, is watching a video on stream and commenting about it, is that enough transformation? Then that would have been kind of crazy.
Law from like the 70s, which I think is absurd, by the way, for it to stand in the test of time for new mediums of transmission. But the general idea is, even when it comes to fair use, you could technically
you saying not really. No, that's what I said. I didn't ask you. It would have been the court. It would have been whatever. Your opinion is, and mine is irrelevant about this.
Show an entire video. But are you a market substitute? If so, well, then it's not really fair use. Are you critiquing the whole video? Are you criticizing it? Are you using it to make points? Are there moments of your video where it's completely dead air? If you have to ask yourself the question, have I done enough fair use? You probably haven't done enough fair use. When it comes to anything on YouTube, I think for people who are primarily YouTubers who make content, specifically commentary or edited content, the amount of clips that we use and the amount that we show, we have to really judge and properly give the right amount of context and the right amount of commentary. Otherwise, even if we use like a second or two wrong in our YouTube videos, we open ourselves up to a fair use issue. So again, it's kind of wild that on YouTube, literally entire videos can be hijacked, then completely re-uploaded, and there's not an issue of DMCA happening. There's not even like a problem with anything. Like, this is not fair use. If the commentary, or your reaction...
Yeah, if the person has a problem, they can either reach out or do the DMCA, whatever, right? And then we'll do the correct action. I think most of the people just don't give a fuck.
It's an entire re-upload of somebody's video. You've created a market substitute, and it would be really difficult for you to argue actual fair use. 2 weeks ago, I made this one video where I talked about just $160 million NFT disaster.
Guys,
the whole like.
guys, the reality is, if I had to ask somebody if I could watch a video on stream, right, I would assume that 99.9% of the people, right, would literally agree beforehand. I could do it. Yeah, you're right. It would take a bit more effort. I agree with that. But when it comes down to it, the reality is that most people that we want to watch a video, they would say yes because they don't mind it.
Other NFT stuff where like 160 million bucks were burnt in Ethereum. Of course, underneath it, Asmongold reacted to it, basically taking the title of the video and just also hijacking the search algorithms of this. Now, of course, I don't mind too much being a larger channel myself. I can weather the storm, and my videos always usually are the #1 viewed on that topic, even amongst any reaction out there. But of course, where it starts to get a little hazier is when you have smaller channels who basically rely on YouTube growth to make anything going forward. For a lot of people who have over 1 million subscribers, you can weather the storm pretty easily. Because the way that YouTube...
Then those people would get helped a lot by the new eyes being put on the video by somebody who's bigger or getting more traction by it, right?
Algorithm is mostly centered around is the idea of watch time.
By definition.
You make longer videos, like 15 minutes, 20-minute videos, maybe hour-long videos, sometimes I go that far, what will happen is you'll build an insane amount of watch time. The more watch time you have, the more YouTube is likely of recommending you in the algorithm. So, of course, when you're a larger channel and you may get a reaction to your video here and there, it's not going to hurt you as much as it hurts somebody with, say, 50,000 subscribers that's consistently trying to make absolute banger content. The problem with that person's growth is when all of a sudden their videos have been basically reacted to, and now YouTube's entire search algorithm is filled with their video and various other reactions, which sometimes, because of the reactor size, may actually outrank their own video. All of a sudden, their growth diminishes. Now, of course, if you're a smaller creator and all of a sudden you're like, hey, I feel great that a larger creator is reacting to me, right? In a lot of senses, it's cool, right? It's a cool thing to see, being acknowledged by the upper echelon of, the communities. But it's one thing to do that, and it's another thing to understand when you've actually been taken advantage of in the system, and all of a sudden, your channel health and longevity is put at risk by somebody who basically has taken your content and instead of working that day, just reacted to it, re-uploaded it within the hour, and fucking washed their hands and wiped away. That's pretty much what it gets down to. Now you...
Okay, yeah, this makes sense. I would be interested to see from a more analytical standpoint, the algorithm of this and this video, how it does, and how linked it is with this video, with that one, how much they interact with each other. I feel like a lot of times these are very, very distant from one another when it comes down to algorithm-wise, but maybe I'm wrong, I don't know.
Asmongold as one of the reactors in this initially, and I just want to say to start off with, Asmongold's video is 39 minutes in length compared...
My theory is that these videos don't cannibalize at all, almost zero. The main point he's trying to make, chat, is that one would be cannibalizing as it's growing, right? And once it cannibalizes enough, and it goes past them in the algorithm, it eats everything that this one can't, then this one gets starved.
To my 17-minute video. This actually will showcase that Asmongold has put a considerable amount of commentary into the entire video. But when it comes to the idea of fair use, we have to talk about market substitutions, because there's 4 pillars when it comes to this kind of stuff, and one of them is the amount and substantiality that it's actually used. In this case law from the University of Miami Law School, we actually look directly into this paragraph that actually really speaks about how much you can and cannot use in fair use. So again, when we're talking about market subsidies, when you basically take somebody's entire piece of content, it's very difficult to prove any form of fair use in a court law. But even if you use very little, this is an interesting excerpt you should read. However, the orthodox gloss is not always reliable. To predict case outcomes accurately, the analysis must focus on the likelihood of substitution when evaluating the amount copied. By focusing merely on the amount copied, the usual understanding of the third factor fails to account adequately for many of the case holdings. In Iowa State, for instance, the defendant telecast only 2.5 minutes of the plaintiff's 28-minute film. The defendant claimed that the amount copied was quantitatively insignificant. The court's implicit reasoning, however, was that since the defendant's secondary use could substitute for the sale of the plaintiff's film, the secondary use infringed. The Supreme Court has applied an analysis similar to the Iowa State analysis of the third factor. For instance, in Harper and Rowe, the court denied the defendant's fair use claim, although the amount copied was quantitatively insignificant, quoting a mere 300 words, from the plaintiff's large book, very small, the defendant published its own version of President Gerald Ford's...
Wait a minute, if it's quantitatively irrelevant, then it becomes the fucking Wild West, then anything can explode.
Memoirs. Despite the minimal copying, the Supreme Court held against the defendant, stating that the qualitative importance of the material taken must also be considered. The courts noted that the defendant copied what was essentially the heart of the original work. So even if you use very little, if you copy what is the heart of the original work, basically some could consider it the, meat of the original product, basically the one reason people would watch the original video, you would basically be infringing. So again, it's very dependent.
So if I make an hour video about Star Wars and I use a 4-second clip of the ending, since it's the heart of the work in the story, then they would actually go for full smoke.
Lawyers are paid big bucks to look at this very specifically. Now, obviously, this is an incredibly beneficial practice for Asmongold, as frankly, in a matter of a few hours, he can upload 50-minute, 47-minute videos that absolutely do well in the watch time, literally all about the Johnny Depp Amber Heard trial, which is all the rage in terms of Twitch streamers and some YouTubers right now. I'm not really that much of an expert on it. I'm just using this necessarily an example for what is the reaction stuff. I do think it's a little different, however, reacting to court stuff, simply because I don't believe there's a copyright domain on that, so this is well within the rights.
No, there's that who is the person who is in a court case, or the person who's in court, who's filming, whose material, who is digital material, that is their material. They're absolutely within the right to DMCA 100%. And people have been DMCA'd by the lady or the people who do law and crime network. I think they do it more manually. Yep, yes, absolutely 100%. Yes, they have DMCA'd 100%.
Of course, when it comes to a YouTuber, things start to change because YouTubers are not big, giant media organizations that have a lot of money to deal with in the first place. A lot of it can be a losing game, especially if you're a newer person at the start. And when you're being
it's public domain, but it's their pictures.
Aped on the algorithm by somebody far larger than you, that's probably the one thing that may not make you succeed in the long term. And obviously, you know, the lazy content is definitely very rewarded on YouTube, as Asmongold's up there with like...
Guys, it's their pictures.
91 million views for the last 30 days. Obviously, this is incredibly beneficial to be on the platform in this case. The YouTube algorithm seems to reward this level of, you know, I guess you could say...
Guys, the Olympics were held on a public place, right? People were outside or whatever, and people were getting DMCA'd personally by the Olympics by just filming towards it and being around it. Literally. Having nothing to do with it, just being outside and looking around on public property, which by law you're allowed to record around you, they were getting DMCA'd, literally. Because their pictures of it, yeah, what about it?
Easier content. Even people like xQc, who absolutely uploads a lot of content regarding GTA roleplay, plays games as well, spend several hours reacting to stuff, and sometimes re-uploads it onto his channel. Now, before anybody brings me that, like, super, like, weird take of, hey, but if this streamer has to stream for 12 hours, I'm streaming for, like, 11 hours a day, right? Therefore, you know, if I'm doing 11 hours of playing a video game, don't I get an hour to just watch some video, you know, wind down? No, okay. It's not the purge, bro, okay? Just because you've lived a long...
This argument is dumb shit. I mean, I agree with him.
Full life
I don't
for
think
the
anybody says
entire
that,
year.
though.
Doesn't mean you get a whole day to commit whatever crime you want. That doesn't make any sense, okay? I would love to see that brought up in a court, by the way, too. And also, just as a wild shock, if you as a streamer, and understand for a streamer, having as many hours as you can is basically your ticket to growth, your one ticket. Then if you don't have the content to stream or the energy to stream without like basically like leaving a video on and walking away, maybe, and here's a real wild shocking take, maybe stream less. I don't know.
Yeah, agreed.
Maybe I'm speaking too much. Maybe it's a real hot take on this one.
Guys. I don't want, okay, guys, this doesn't even apply to me. Okay, I don't want to stream less, and I like watching videos. If anything, I would increase the amount of them that I watch videos, because I like them so much compared to some games sometimes. So what about it?
I don't know.
Like what?
Now this is a little less egregious to me, because what xQc will do is not straight up steal the title, like Asmongold had done in the original reaction stuff too, but he'll
yeah, because I think Asmongold goes straight up. He does like algorithm optimizing, so it does cannibalize. I think that's the whole point of it. Now, I don't want to call out Asmongold about it, but I think he knows for a fact that their tactics are cannibalistic, but in nature, and this is almost the objective of it, right? Where my editors, they care, but I don't think that's the main goal
stuff like
of it.
Stunned by Daily Dose of Internet. Now, Daily Dose of Internet is a very large creator who uploads, you know, videos that are 2 minutes long. People watch it. It's a daily dose of the internet. Now, of course, in this video, when you get into direct market substitutes, the idea of putting your webcam in the corner and just having like the entire video basically play, this, my friends, would be a direct market substitute. Now, I don't know whether to be shocked or stunned by these videos, so I'm going to click one randomly.
Okay,
I'm going to compare it to like Jinx, you know, somebody that was, you know, was directly called out for doing this kind of stuff. Now, ladies and gentlemen, we directly called out Jinx here on the right years ago when this was happening, but now that it's resurged with, you know, people like xQc on the left, there's a few people that are staying quiet. But I might ask you, ladies and gentlemen, what's the difference? Like I said in the beginning of the video, I really have no ill will against anybody here. Look, I'm friendly with a lot of these people. I'm on good terms with them. But this is something that I've noticed for several months on YouTube. It's something that's been hitting my recommendations like crazy. And one of the only things that I can do is when you see it on your homepage, the only thing you can ever take care of is basically like going onto the actual channel, clicking those 3 buttons and hitting don't recommend. It's about the only thing that I can say for anybody that primarily has become some sort of a reaction Andy on the internet. Because yes, this space is finite. People's time is finite, okay? And if you're somebody whose videos is getting constantly reacted to and you're pushed out of the algorithm, but people are watching your videos, even if it's by proxy, that will ultimately harm you in the long run. I think when people hear the word exposure, they think, wow, I'm going to get a lot of benefit out of just a reaction. And it's oftentimes like a hit or miss depending on how good it does. I will say most of the times it does not do very well. If a video...
Chad, I think sometimes in these points you need to be careful. I think if the point is react harder, then things become weird, and I think things become kind of weird.
Mine gets reacted to, I very minimally see the tiniest of spikes on a video analytic. And you can actually see the same thing with creators like xQc, whose videos reacted to, where they got like a whopping, I think like 100 views, period, on their channel, like just in a time frame. But even beyond that, sure, while this is depending on, like, there's many...
You're saying that it's actually an actual argument in court? I don't think this point hasn't been discussed in court, I think, yet. There was only the case of H3, and they won their case. So if anything, it would be more of an uphill battle to prove your point and prove the opposite.
Factors that go into it. Exposure ultimately is not going to pay the bills. You can't go into a bank account and deposit exposure to pay for your mortgage, okay? If you are genuinely on YouTube and you want to turn this into a career, then you need to make sure the algorithm is favoring you and not the person who is reacting to your content and uploading it entirely on theirs. Because if you look at it from a long-term perspective, you might get that viral video, but the whole idea of making YouTube your career is to make a viral video and then another viral video and another viral.
No, I'm gonna say then I feel like, I know this is a bad solution, but I think a band-aid solution, if there was a tag or a thing you could use on YouTube that you can check when you upload a video that says this is a reaction of somebody else's content, so and then you post the main thing you watched under it, and it made a change in the algorithm, that would be dank. That would be, you check something and it says this is a reaction, and you say of what video, and you copy the link, you put it in there, so whenever you are going to promote a video to somebody else that isn't familiar to any of the content, then they get their video first before mine, I'd be okay with that 100%. Because why? Because I don't give a fuck. I'm trying to get some of these suckers to watch my videos. Okay? The point with for YouTube initially was for the people that like and care about the content to watch it somewhere else in a more condensed manner, and they can follow through without having to watch the whole broadcast. That was the main point early on, and still is the philosophy behind having the YouTube video, the YouTube channel. So I don't give a fuck if I don't gain anybody out of it. The whole point is to give it somebody that doesn't have time.
Viral video. The more you do this, the more your channel is recommended to numerous people, and the more you become...
Why would YouTube care? Because YouTube should care. Because the stem of the content is much more important because YouTube want to keep and protect the stem of the content, not the branches. Because without the stem, there's no branches.
Part of that upper echelon that's initially reacting to you. So again, remember that going forward, especially if you're a small-time YouTube creator. That said though, I'm going to end it on this note because I find this whole general practice of turning into React Andes and basically turning entire channels, you know, into this really lazy practice on the internet. Because it is lazy. It's very easy to fire up a stream, react to like 10 videos, and all of a sudden you have 10 days of content to upload. Or in certain cases, 10 videos for that day to upload, all en masse, and all that are going to absolutely dominate the algorithm because you have an established fan base anyways. That said though, I'm sure this is a polarizing topic to a few people, and you know, at the end of the...
Guys, stop trying to roast me, guys. I know it's lazy. I literally know that it's lazy, but I enjoy it, and people enjoy it, and that is how much my brain goes to in these mental hoops, man. It stops right there.
I'm going to leave it where it's at, because I've got some real content to work on, and we all can't sit down and react to a video every once in a while. So that being said, if you like what you saw, please like, comment, and subscribe. Dislike if you dislike it. Check out a GTA video tomorrow. And if you're a smaller YouTuber that relies on a certain view count to hit a sponsor target, or you need ad revenue because this is your daily form of revenue, somebody just steals your content and uploads it entirely, you know, YouTube does have built-in features that literally let you claim videos based on how much percentage of a video is copied. If they steal 100% of your video, you should probably be entitled to a little bit of ad revenue. If you want to use those systems in YouTube, feel free to. And if you feel like that's going to step on some toes of people that might not look too favorably on you reclaiming a little bit of your content, you know, rights back to you, then fuck them, all right? Because at the end of the day, all right, you're the one that worked hard. Don't be abused on the system. Don't be taken advantage of. Simple as that.
True. 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 Guys, you guys think, haha, less income? Guys, I know you guys don't like...
5 or 10 years.
I know you guys will say, oh, dude, you're just lying. The reality is, guys, I don't want to sound like I'm out of touch idiots, guys. The YouTube income, I generally don't really care about it. Okay, the point of the YouTube, that's not what it is. It's like in things that can give juice. It's not even near the top of the things that are priority, right? So if I can focus on things that people want more than what I get out of it, then that's the philosophy behind it, man. What about it? Yes, Kurz said that early on I asked permission and said, yeah, you can upload our videos, but then they retracted their consent and then we stopped uploading their videos. End of story. It was a normal, genuine interaction. They were kind of upset at first and they were like, you know, dude, okay, cool, man. And then we stopped doing it. And then there was no problem behind it. There was no problem.
Well, that was a really interesting video there. The link will be in the description if I can remember it. Like, comment, subscribe, and watch another video above all else. Thanks for watching. Above all else, thanks for watching. I'll never get used to these outros. Bye.